AITA for telling my wife she's not famous? I, 37M, and my wife Jane, 28F, have been together for 5 years and married for 2. Our relationship was always good, but it's taken a downturn recently. When we got together we had the same job, made similar amounts of money and attended a lot of social events both separately and together. A year ago, Jane won a life-changing amount of money, in the millions, and quit her job to set up some charities that help our local community. She's always been active in our community. She donates books to the library, volunteers for book groups, goes to community council etc. But ever since setting up her charities she spends a lot of time away from home and at events. She always invites me but I rarely go as they're long and boring and frankly the amount of them she goes to is exhausting. She's now so well known in the community we can't go out without someone talking to her on the street or recognizing her. I feel like I'm in a relationship with her voicemail sometimes. I decided to confront her about it and we had a massive argument, during which she said she enjoys talking to people in our community and hearing how she helped them. I told her she's selfish, and throwing money at a small-ass town doesn't make her famous. She said she wasn't trying to be, and that I know how much the community and helping people means to her and why, that I had gone too far. She's now staying with her aunt and won't talk to me. AITA? AITA for body shaming my little sister? I, 19F, have a little sister, 14F, that is a little chubby but nothing so much. Growing up we were like best friends and no matter what I was by her side. When I moved out at 18 she was only female child in family. I also have 2 brothers, 16M and 12M. She was always in her room, I didn't know why. So last week I went to dinner with my family BCS my mom celebrated her birthday. I was a little late because of traffic. When I came there first person who I saw was my little sister. She was wearing long brown dress. She was beautiful, but the dress didn't fit her. You know when you see someone with little bell rolls? Yes, my sister had them. I greeted everyone there, my sister last. I hugged her and told, "Wow, you didn't had them the last time I've seen you." I saw it was an awful smile on her face. She was quiet the whole night and didn't eat dessert. We all went home after 1 more hour. In the morning, I was bombarded with texts of my mom saying how could I say that to her. My mom said that she was crying all night because of that. I simply told her that I didn't meant to hurt her, I was just saying. After long argument I sent apology message to my sister, which she replied with, "Okay. I don't know that to do." AITA for asking for a shared bank account with my wife. I, 30M, and my wife, 28F, have been happily married for 1 year and have known each other for 2. Throughout our whole relationship, we have had separate bank accounts but on our first anniversary, I decided to switch to a shared account as we were settled in. After an initial explanation, she seemed upset but didn't say anything so I ignored it. We just filed the paperwork and seemingly moved on. Over the next few weeks, however, I noticed her getting more passive-aggressive, even making jabs at me for sharing the account. "You just want a shared account to pretend you make 100K, and dumb shit like that." I once again ignored the comments as I thought she was trying to be playful and would just talk to me if she had any real issues. Weeks went by like this, with the comments escalating to calling me clingy and even distrustful. I snapped and yelled that she should stop wasting my time and just speak up if she didn't like the idea. She yelled back saying that I knew one of her deal breakers was shared accounts and that her comments were an attempt to lightheartedly explain why she didn't want it. She said she wouldn't stay with me if I didn't respect her boundaries and hasn't spoken to me since. I get that one of her deal breakers is shared accounts, but I expect that at this point in our marriage, she'd be ready for a basic commitment and conversation. AITA for getting a shared account? For context, my wife said one of her deal breakers was not having an independent account. I did not forbid her from having one. I simply said it'd be best to have a main savings account where most of our pay goes. Update: when my wife and I started dating/married, it was kind of an unspoken rule that our boundaries were subject to change and weren't really boundaries. That's why I kept ignoring her comments because both of us gave those, "I'm only doing this to annoy you but intend to go along with the plan" snarky comments. I now understand that I should have just explained why I wanted the joint account and made a budget we could each contribute to individually instead. I'll talk to my wife about this. Thanks for the advice. My affair partner told me I deserve a sex life. Looking for unbiased opinions. Essentially, my affair partner said I deserve a sex life. She's single, but I'm married. We discussed my marriage and sex life with her. I was feeling particularly guilty because my wife doesn't know about us, and it was one of the few times my wife and I had sex this year. This started a conversation between us because she asked how often my wife and I have sex. We talked, and she said I deserve a sex life. Even if it isn't with my wife. It got me thinking. Is she right? I give everything to my wife. Love, care, and everything else that comes in a marriage/partner.
AITA for telling my fiancé that he's being unfair to me and my parents. My 24F fiancé Todd, 23M, and I are planning our wedding right now. Both of our sets of parents kindly offered to split the wedding costs down the middle. We took them up on this offer, but things haven't really been fair. My parents have paid/offered to pay for a lot of things, one set of wedding jewelry, several of the more cultural wedding events, etc., while my fiancé's side hasn't really done anything of the sort. I've talked to Todd about it before, and according to him he's gotten in fights with his father about it before, and that A, his dad seems to not really care about Todd getting married, and B, Todd is extremely ashamed of the fact that his side is not providing as much as my parents are. For context, Todd works full-time, both of my parents do too. Last night, I told him I wanted to get a dress for one of the events, and showed him. He asked me where I'm gonna get $400 to pay for it, and I told him I could give him $200, the rest could be like a wedding gift to me. He said he thought the wedding jewelry and the ring was the wedding gift, but come on, that's standard. I told him as much, and we basically started arguing. He said he thought he'd given me enough gifts. I told him that he wasn't being fair because he knew how much my parents were putting into this wedding, and it wasn't even 50-50 because his side wasn't paying for much other than the ring and the jewelry and one dress. To make a long story short, he basically said he knows he can't put as much money towards this as my parents can, and that he spoils me as much as he can on his salary, but it's not fair to compare his one salary to my parents' two salaries. He said I know how ashamed it makes him that his parents basically don't care about his wedding. He didn't say anything for a long while, and then really quietly he just went, "My dad doesn't care that I'm getting married," and then got up and left. He texted me around 15 minutes later that he was sorry, but I haven't seen him since. He spent the night outside the house and is at work right now. I honestly feel so shitty, but part of me feels like this was such an overreaction to a $200 gift. I'm wondering if I'm the asshole here. Edit, people keep asking what I am contributing or what gifts I've given my fiancé. I don't work currently, so gifts are off the table for right now. I am planning the wedding, so you could call that my gift to him. People also keep telling me that they hope I get divorced or that Todd leaves me. Thank you for that, but it's not happening.